everybody, and welcome to this week's Ripple Effect podcast. My name is Daniel. We're so glad that you've joined us here today. In the studio, I have Miss Joy Gastler with us, and thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to get to her in a moment and have a great conversation. Before we do, I want to first just give you a quick recap of Sunday. Sunday, we finished up our sermon series on the end times. And I gave the exact date and time that Jesus is coming back. I didn't do that. No, but we talked about specifically on Sunday different viewpoints of the end of the world, and really the main point is be ready for His return. It was Norman Wright that says, "It's not my job to tell the horse where it needs to go. It's my job just to load the cart." So get busy loading the cart. Norm, I'm sorry if I messed that quote up. It's something like that, but
I think that's pretty close.
It's pretty close. Yeah, I'm not directing this thing. My job is to make sure it's full. So if you missed that, you can check it out online. You can see it at tlcc.church or here on Facebook and YouTube and all over the place. But I want to give you TLCC top three announcements for this week. The first one is that coming up on Friday, which is Halloween, is our Treat Street, and we're having that event here. It's going to be from 5 to 7, and having people in the building. And first, I just want to ask for prayer so that we can be a positive influence in our community. There's lots of kids that come through that we can encourage and smile to and love on, and also that it goes well, that we can make some positive connections with people who may not go to church, may have gone to church for a while, but haven't stepped foot in a building for a while. So that's what we're doing. It's this coming Friday. And if you are interested in helping with that, passing out stuff for the kids or just being involved, call the office and we would love to get you connected. The next thing is on the 9th, there is an XYZ event. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
What is it?
That is the dinner after church.
Oh, they're doing a dinner. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here because I knew they had an event on the 9th, but I wasn't sure what it was.
That is.
Okay. So our XYZ ministry is the extra years of Zest ministry. It's definitely not the old people ministry. It is the extra years of Zest. And they do some amazing things. That was the first group and ministry that I went to when I first came to this church. We got here, and then it was...
Surprised I didn't close the door on you. You're too young.
I know. Well, I think they were trying to be nice to the new guy. But they invited me and all the kids, at the time we had just the girls, to a meal. And then Ron and Phyllis had Christmas games and some trivia. And
You were at the holiday one.
I was at the holiday one. So... if you are, is it 55 and up? Mm-hmm. If you're 55 years and older,
they'll let a few in under that.
They're pretty kind. They're very, very kind. So Ed and Sarah Lewis have been helping organize that, and they've done an amazing job. We're so grateful for them. But that happens on the 9th, and so if you're...
Don's Fried Chicken.
Ooh, okay. You heard it here first. I didn't know that either. Don's Chicken will be there, and they do a great job, and it's a great time of encouragement and fellowship. So that's on the 9th, right after service, I'm guessing.
Yes,
they'll set that up. And then the final thing is, in November, we're going to try something church-wide, and we'll let everybody know this on Sunday. We're going to do a 30-day challenge to call to prayer. So in November, we're going to try to do a challenge of praying 3 times a day. And we're going to do some prompts, and we're going to put some things out on social media. The staff is going to do that as a challenge to say, we know that prayer is important, and we know that we try to pray as much as we can. But what would happen if we tried to pray around the same time together as a church? So that's what we're going to try to do. We're calling it the 30-day challenge, praying 3 times a day starting in November. And we've got some prompts and some things that we're going to specifically be praying about. But we're going to challenge the church to participate. And maybe that's a challenge that you would want to take on. November is a time of Thanksgiving, but it's also a time of not just gratitude, but also reminding ourselves of where all the good things come from and who is our helper. And so we're going to try that in November. So we're going to see. We've not done a congregational prayer time in a while. We did some prayer vigils. We did a 24-hour time of prayer a few years ago. And this is, we haven't done one in a while.
We done some sign-ups where you come into church and pray.
We did some sign-ups. That's right. It was a few years ago, we did a vigil through the night of prayer. Anyway, we're going to try this. We're going to start in November, and we'd love for you to join in on it. So there you go. Treat Street's coming up on Friday. We've got XYZ happening on the 9th, and then 30-day challenge of prayer beginning in November. So there's your top 3 for the week. All right. Well, I am so happy to introduce to you this wonderful woman. If you have not met her before, this is Miss Joy. And Joy, I do this thing with new guests every time. I put 60 seconds on the clock, and imagine you've never met me. How would you introduce yourself to me? What's the most important thing to know about you? Are you ready? Go.
I'm Joy Gastler. 2 months, I'll be 75. I grew up, born and raised in St. Louis, been here 45 years, most of that time in Middle Grove.
Okay.
I have was married for almost 40 years. And then I retired in 2018 from 2 jobs. I worked both at the bank as a teller for 18 years, and then I worked for 30 years as a personal secretary to the general chairman of the Maintenance Away Union Office of the Norfolk and Southern Railroad.
Wow.
And then I've raised dogs for 49 years.
Uh-huh. Am I stopping the clock?
Yeah, stop the clock.
48 seconds. That was perfect. I didn't know. I knew you did secretarial work, but I didn't know you did it there. I don't know how I missed that.
The railroad?
For the railroad.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know how I missed that.
It was a union office for the railroad.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we did all the time claims and when the guys got in trouble.
Ooh.
For all the investigations.
Which probably were a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, my job, I had plenty to do.
That was probably really busy. Was it a high stress environment? Or did you like being go, go, go?
Well, I had 2 different general chairmen. I worked for one for 10 years, worked for the other for almost 20.
Wow.
And so one was high stress, the other one wasn't. Your personalities.
I was going to say,
working.
which one did you like better?
Well, I can say it now, but the second one.
Okay, yeah. All right, that's good. Joy, how long have you been a part of this church, Union Avenue / Timberlake?
89. John and I joined over at Union Avenue in 1989.
1989. And you, for at least since I've been here and since I've known you, you and John particularly, were always involved in some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. And you told me you're not in the front, out. Even doing this is nerve-wracking, right?
Oh, yeah. Can't you tell?
I know. So you've done a lot of different things here at the church. Can you think, what's some of the things that you've done volunteer-wise and helping in the church?
Well, Sunday school teacher for about 12 years, 4 and 5-year-olds.
Oh, my.
2-year-olds.
Yeah.
John and I were also head of the communion for 23 years now. I'm still doing it. So,
which most people don't. So not every denomination takes communion every week, but we take it every week.
That's exactly.
And people don't realize the work that goes in. All the little cups. And then when we started having to divide out the bread and the juice, which was a COVID thing that we just have kept going, it takes some time.
Well, it takes more time now because you don't have the bread trays. That was faster. Where now everybody has 2 cups.
Everyone's got 2 little.
We got our practice though before COVID. Doug came in with this idea. He wanted to do plants. He wanted to have wildflowers, and so he brought in these wildflower seeds, and he wanted to get them to everybody, and we put them in the bottom of the communion cups. So that was
You'd
our
already
first
done
practice. That was our first practice with double
cool.
cupping.
So was it like an illustration or something?
It was something he wanted everybody to plant were these wildflowers. So he bought all these wildflower seeds.
Yeah, that's cool. And then he distributed them through the communion cups.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. So you'd already put the seed in the bottom. That's cool. So has it been 2 years since John's passed?
No, it was a year. It's been a year, a week.
I knew the anniversary.
It's been a year and 10 days.
A year and 10 days.
Yeah.
So John, your husband of 40
almost 39. Yeah, it was 39 years.
He passed away. Man, it definitely feels like it was yesterday, but it does in some ways feel like it was longer than a year. He passed away, and it was very fast.
Very fast, 5 weeks.
5 weeks from diagnosis.
From first pain.
Oh, wow.
First pain to death.
Yeah. And those, being in the hospital room, those at least the last day to two, he went from you could talk with him, have conversations, to near the end where he wasn't really talking, wasn't able to.
It was 2 days, and the striking thing there was he had called home on Tuesday night to let me know how to light the fireplace we have. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get it lit, and I had Ralph at the house, and so he called to tell Ralph how to light the fireplace. Mm. That night, I got a phone call saying that he had become combative, which he never was.
John, now he for those of you who don't know him, tall, strong, hardworking, but incredibly gentle. So yes. One of the kindest guys. I don't know if he had a mean bone in his body.
Easygoing, most of the time. Now I could rile him up.
You could.
I could rile him, yeah. And not to say we didn't, but
sure. But combative because I remember you told me this.
Yeah. When
the nurses said he's being combative, you're like, that doesn't sound right.
No, and in fact, I told him, I said, I'm on my way, and she said, no, we've given him a sedative. Mm. When I got there that next day, he was no longer John. Yeah. He was gone. Yeah. For all intents purposes. No communication. His eyes were gone. He had beautiful eyes, and they were gone. Mm. So, and then it was 2 days later that he physically left.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was the day before he passed, I came in the room, and family's there, and we're laughing, and we're talking, and they're saying their goodbyes, and because they don't know how long this is going to take. And then you and I had a conversation not that long ago about grief and loss and death, and you said, as Christians, we don't really talk about this.
No, that's what I made comment to you, that I'd like to hear some sermons on death, because it's something that people don't talk about. People are fearful of the word death. Mm-hmm. But you know what I realized? I had an epiphany. Isn't that a big word for me?
That's a $10 word right there, Joy.
Yeah. Actually, death is a reward. Mm. I never looked at it that way. And it hit me one day when I was thinking, worried, talking to myself.
Sure.
And I thought, it's a reward. Even Jesus received the reward.
Yeah.
It was a reward for death. Mm. What's happened to the people that remain is the loss.
It is. And I usually think about death, or have in the past, as almost that's the punishment.
Right.
Or that's the thing you're trying to avoid.
You think about Jesus on the cross. That was the punishment for a crime he didn't commit. Mm-hmm.
But really the pain and the grief through that was the punishment. The death was, he doesn't have to deal with it anymore.
It's the reward.
Yeah. So why do you think we don't talk about it very much?
I think it's a scary thing. I even made the comment to you, I'm not afraid of death because I'm confident in knowing where I'm going.
Sure.
But it's the dying process. Mm. How long? What's it going to be? Is it going to be short? Is it going to be a long, drawn-out process? Am I ending up in a nursing home? Those kinds of things is what scares you.
And you also said, and I think this is probably true for lots of people, before John's death, you didn't really think about that part of your life. We don't naturally think about that.
No.
But you have more so now that you've gone through really this trauma because of how quick and how, everything happened. It wasn't like you had time to even get ready for or process his passing.
No.
But you have thought more and more now about your own death. And so you had that epiphany about a reward. Is there any other things that God has been teaching you about death or about loss through this last year?
Well, there's several things that I've learned. I thought a lot about what would it be like to have somebody be able to come back and tell you what it's like. We get fragments through the Bible. Mm-hmm. We don't get
the whole story.
No, you don't get. And, what would it be like if somebody that you knew, in my case, if it would be John, come back and tell me what it was like? I would love to know.
Yeah.
And of course, there's questions that I want to ask.
Yeah.
Would he ask them for me and give me the answers?
Would you come back one more time?
Yeah.
Yet C.S. Lewis has this. It's really a strange little book about what heaven may be like, and he was always an imaginative writer, and in the preface he says, we use our imagination because we can't fully comprehend, like our physical brains can't fully comprehend what a spiritual reality will be like in heaven. And
interesting thought.
Well, I think about the whole parable of the man who dies and goes to Abraham's bosom, and that whole story, and where God says, even if we sent an angel, or even if you went back to your brothers, they may not believe you. And maybe there's just something where our physical brains can't comprehend what it will be like. But that's what faith is about, isn't it? But I still want to know some things.
I do too.
I want to know.
Curiosity.
The glorified body. Do you get to pick that out?
No.
At what age is your glorified body? Can I be a little taller? I would like just a few more inches of height.
And that's something the physical doesn't even, I don't even think about that because I'm thinking, it also says that we're going to be able to recognize our loved ones, but they're not going to be in the state that we knew them in. No. I mean, I wouldn't want to see John the way he was toward the end.
No. Yeah.
And so to see him or be able to recognize him, how am I going to know?
Yeah.
How am I going to know?
Yeah. Well, to think about that, remember when the two men were on the road to Emmaus and they didn't recognize Jesus, but then he said something that opened their eyes. And I was thinking about, okay, this is a whole trail now. We might edit this out. I don't know. But there's a movie about a guy and it's like a time travel movie, but he ends up meeting his daughter, and the last time he saw her was when she was a child, like 6 or 7 years old. And then he sees her as a 30-year-old adult. And I was thinking, if I went into a coma now, woke up in 30 years, and meet let's say
kids?
The boys, I wouldn't recognize them at first, but there would be something familiar.
That would trigger it?
Yeah, and I wonder if that's what heaven will be like, is not, I don't recognize you based on your appearance, but based on who you are and who you are to me. Because even on the Mount of Transfiguration, even the disciples recognized that these, Abraham that they're there. They never met them.
No,
they didn't know what they looked like, but they recognized, that's who they are.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if it's going to be, it's less about appearance and more about who the person is that we'll be able to know fully. But those are all great questions,
Yeah, there's a card that I ran across. I brought it, and I think it describes grief.
Okay. Well, while you're pulling that out, let me just check to make sure we're still. You talking yours?
Okay.
Oh, we're still there. Good.
It says grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage. not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness nor a lack of faith. It's the price of love.
Yep. That idea of it's not a place to stay, but it's a passage. It's not a passage anybody ever wants to take.
No. Oh, definitely. It's not a journey that I would, going on a journey, you look forward to. A vacation you look forward to.
Yeah.
This is not something that you look forward to.
So let's talk about that for a moment, because for those of you who don't know Joy, when she mentioned she's raised dogs, many of you are thinking 1 or 2 pups here and there. She's got a full-blown operation. We're talking kennels and kennels. This is almost a full-time job.
It is.
It is
for John and I, it was. In fact, John left his job, and he wasn't even old enough to retire.
Because of how much this...
Well, he'd stayed at the one place for 40 years. He worked in the same building for 40 years. But there was so much going on, and I was making more money out of the backyard than he was working for somebody, that he just decided it was time to stay home and
let's do it together. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I didn't just lose a spouse. I also lost a business partner and part of my business because I couldn't handle it all.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. And this is something that for individuals who've lost a loved one or lost a spouse over an extended period of time, maybe it was a difficult illness or something that took a long time. Like you said, it was 5 weeks. And how did you, maybe the answer of this is going to be short, but how did you even survive? Because it was, you didn't really have time to even stop and process. There was dogs to feed, there's jobs to do, there's work to be done, and now you're doing it all by yourself. Plus, on top of that, all the insurance and legal stuff you have to deal with, plus all the family stuff. I mean, there was so much that I know lots of people wanted to help, but there's only so much everybody else can do for you. So how did you survive all that? And then looking back, do you wonder yourself how you survived, or how did that go?
Well, all I can say is I'm glad that I was as busy as I was. And yes, you were at the hospital and you saw, I'd come in like at 11 o'clock in the morning because I was doing chores from 4:30 in the morning to 10, and then an hour to get down to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to leave again at 3 o'clock because I'd be working from
chores.
Yeah. I'd start again at 3 and not get done till 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. So, it was, I called it chasing my tail, because you've been around the dogs as long as I have, you become one of them.
Yep.
And so a lot of the sayings I use go back to licking your wounds or, sore paws or whatever.
Absolutely.
But I spent a lot of time doing chores to the point where it was 5 or 6 hours in the morning, 5 or 6 hours at night, and then trying to do everything in between. I couldn't do it. But as John was getting sicker, I had realized I needed to go down in numbers. I couldn't go out. I mean, I can't see me, and you probably couldn't see me watching Price is Right, every day. I just
you got to
do
do something with your hands.
I'm a type A personality. Yeah. I have to be busy.
Yeah.
And so I knew I wanted to keep some dogs, but I couldn't keep all of them.
No. Yeah.
We had a full breeding kennel of 165 dogs, adult dogs, and ran about 100 to 150 pups. And that is a full-time.
That's a full-blown operation.
And I'm talking even nights. There were a lot of, having pups. They don't have them in the daytime.
They don't have them on your schedule.
9 to 5, no. So, a lot of nights were spent having those puppies.
So do you think in some ways that work was a blessing for you?
It is. God knows everything, thank goodness. And thank goodness he's in charge, because kept me so busy that I didn't have time to sit and wallow in in the wounds.
Yeah.
I didn't lick my paws
Yeah.
or chase my tail
Yeah.
because I just didn't have time to do it. So he knew by keeping me busy was the only solution. Otherwise, I would have probably went nuts,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
physically and mentally.
When I wonder, that makes me think about people who have gone through grief and loss. There are some things in their life that maybe they think are getting in the way or the obstacle or the part of the problem, when maybe God has allowed certain things to stay that can be a blessing. Because you could have saw all of this work that you have to do by yourself as, a bad thing, but instead you embraced it and you said, I'm gonna let this help me. And in many ways, those dogs are very therapeutic for you.
Well, it was. And, coming home from the hospital, we've got a great church. And Candy, my neighbor, had gone through loss, and she was right by my side. She called from the hospital, got a hold of about 5 guys, and when I got home at 8 o'clock at night from the hospital, they were out there. Yes, I had to direct traffic.
Oh, yeah. They had no idea what they were doing.
None. And they jumped in it and all went to work. And what was 5 hours with 5 people became an hour.
Yeah.
So
I remember that night because I think it was a Wednesday.
It was.
I think it was a Wednesday night, and they left. They were here, or some of them were here, and they're like, "We're going," and they were telling me their plans, and I was like, "That is, that's what we need."
Yeah. It's been, it's having a church family and being close enough or getting involved enough, maybe plugging in to where a lot of people, and that they're willing to jump. When you say jump, they say hi.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads into the next part that I wanted to talk about, because you and I have talked about this, of building relationships. You've been in the church long enough to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is a part of every church. How has faith helped you and maybe even taught you through this time of loss and through this last year? And then kind of part of that conversation is what have you... Nobody wants to learn from loss. We know that. Like you said, it's a journey nobody wants to take. But how have you appreciated people more? Have you seen the church in a different way going through something like this? Because I should say, you and John were always the people to be the helpers. It's hard for helpers to receive help. And so those are my 2 questions. How's your faith kind of been shaped, and what has God taught you through this time that maybe you can encourage other people with? And then how have you viewed the church and those relationships?
Well, for the first, on my faith started at a young age. I mean, my mother was a Sunday school teacher, 35 years, in a Methodist church that I went to as a kid. But my favorite verse is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's the Philippians 4:13. I have lived with that verse. It's in my house. I carry it in my purse. I read it, I study, and use that. But Christ is who strengthened me. And I always knew that I was never alone.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think when you're going through grief, and especially when you are by yourself, that you are by yourself.
Yeah.
God is there. God is always. He said he would be, and he's faithful, and he has been.
Yeah.
And so I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Yeah.
So he's given me that strength. So that's where my faith is based. Now,
well, hold on. Before you go on, I have to say, because I don't know if I've told you this, but I've always admired, at least since I've known you, I've always admired you. You have a very matter-of-fact way of looking at faith. I sometimes get way too philosophical with stuff, and you're like,
that's your college education.
I know, it ruined me. Oh, no.
Mine's life-based.
I know, but you know,
you know, those street smart
oh,
and book dumb.
I know it. I'm the book dumb. But we were having a conversation about a friend of yours, and you're like, just telling her, you need Jesus. Like, and even just the matter of fact of like, I'm not alone and I believe it is, that's pretty inspiring. Okay. So sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
so
no.
Keep
and
going.
the second question you asked me is about how the church.
Yeah. Just you've been in it for a while and going through lots of different things in your life, especially now this loss. How is that, you know, how do you view the church and the people in it?
Well, you know, a church is not the building. The church is the people. And I think once we get away from the thought of it being only the building, that, you know, God is only in this building,
right?
And we're two or more gathered, you know, that's not the case. God is everywhere all the time.
Amen. So
if we get that thought out of our heads and just believe in people, and I think the world has gotten to the point that I've seen it for a lot of years. I'm seeing such a decline that people are becoming scared of other people, and we don't need to be. We need to be dependent on other people.
People can be messy, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm not saying I haven't run into a few of them in my day, but, you know, discernment. That's another thing. You know, the Bible teaches us discernment.
You'll probably appreciate this. My brother, one of my brothers, he is a farmer. And when we went down to his place to visit, he had sheep and he had other animals and stuff. And my daughters, who haven't been around a lot of animals, there was poop on the ground, and one of them goes, "Ew," you know. And my brother looked at me, and he was kind of disappointed, and he says, "You need to get your children around more feces." I started thinking about that. You know, in the farm kids tend to be some of the most healthy children. You know.
Oh yeah,
and
John
have the
was
most
from
healthy,
a family of 8.
The most healthy immune systems, and I think sometimes we have the viewpoint that if I get some of your mess in your life on me, then it's gonna mess up my life, and if I show you some of my mess, it's gonna mess up your life. And the reality is we're all a little bit messy.
You know what? We need to get together and share those, because judging people is not that's not our job. The Bible tells us we're going to be judged, not to judge.
Yeah.
So I always look at people as people.
Yeah.
There's good ones, there's bad ones, but most of the bad ones know it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're brought up in a fairly moral society. We know right from wrong.
Yeah.
And if we're not taught it, our society teaches us that.
So how do you, I mean, particularly in the church, you've had a lot of relationships. You've seen people come and go. You've had some relationships that have lasted the whole time you've been here.
Yeah.
How, you know, if you were to encourage someone on, maybe they're newer to the church and they're wanting those lifelong relationships, how would you encourage someone to go about that? Joy, tell me, how do I have friends like you that would show up when life is really hard?
I think, well, that discernment's going to be number one, because when you talk to people and you hear things that doesn't go along with your belief, that's time to put them to a different direction.
So
I'm not
invest
saying
in the right people is what you're saying.
You need to invest. You know, my mom always said, you're judged by the company you keep. And so that was always something that to me was a little bit I was responsible for that, partly. If I brought somebody home that had, back in my day, long hair, you know, that was not
that was a bad thing.
Yeah.
Those hippies.
My dad. Oh, my dad.
Those hippies.
Yeah, those Beatles. My dad wanted to run them back to Britain.
The dope smoking Beatles.
Yeah, before, yeah.
Yeah.
But then, you know what I'm saying, there are people in our church, and our church is so good about making contact with each other. in our small groups, that's an important factor.
Yeah.
That was the first place that I was able to attend because I wasn't ready for crowds. I wasn't ready. I didn't want pity party. And so when I was back in my small group, I was comfortable.
Yeah. Kind of baby step, getting back in a little bit.
It took me about 3 weeks after John passed before I could come through the church door.
Well, not to mention all the memories.
Oh, yeah.
Here
Yeah.
and I met you back in the communion room, and we talked a little bit where that is, you guys spent so much time together, just even getting that ready.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of also why we don't want to think about death, because of that. There's grief in that, and that's hard.
Well, yeah, and that's the reason why I think it's avoided. You know, it's kind of, another one's the Holy Spirit. Boy, you know, don't get a Methodist started on the Holy Spirit, because that's something they don't like.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are certain things in a church. I think the church, and one thing that I have to say I'm proud of our church, it has its morals and it sticks to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mold the church around the people.
Yeah.
It makes the people mold to the church.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing. I have a nephew that, of course, I lost my sister too back in 2008 with cancer. And she had a son that was gay. And he was at my dad's funeral, and he said, Aunt Joy, he said, you really have a problem with me, don't you? And I said, I don't have a problem with you.
I love you.
I love you, but I hate your sin. And he kind of gave me that deer in the headlight look, like, where did that come from? You know, but he wasn't willing to talk about the sin.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, you were asking about people in the church. And I think when you get to the bottom, we all have those sins, dirt in the closet, or poop, as you called it, you know, that you don't want to get on you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's what it takes to be a Christian.
Yeah. And when people are there seeing you for who you are and still saying, I'm going to show up and I'm going to help and I'm going to love you. And that's where I think the real camaraderie is born out of. And that takes a lot of work.
Well, another thing that I've noticed with grief and with loss, people's attitude towards you changes. It's like I got leprosy. You know, the friends that we went out to dinner with, well, they're not going to ask you. Yeah, they're not going to ask you. Well, no, they just don't. There were two of you. Now there's only one.
Yeah.
And so, you know, couples have couples. They don't have single individuals. And that's where another thing, I'm more aware of that through my loss.
Right.
So that when others lose, I want to be in there as part of that.
Yeah.
So that they don't feel like they've got leprosy.
Yeah. I think that's been part of who you are, though, for a long time. You have the ability to see past someone's mess and still see them as a person. I think you have that ability. Because even the stuff that you and I have talked about, where maybe that's just a gift God has given you. I do think the things we go through, God allows it, and hopefully we use it as a way to empathize with other people.
Sure.
But I do think you do have that ability to kind of recognize this is what it is, but I still love you as a person, and it's a pretty unique gift.
Well, I hope. Thank you. I think.
Yeah, it is a compliment. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. What would you tell someone who is either facing loss and grief, or maybe they're about to and they know it's coming? I know there's no way to fully prepare, but what would you tell someone who's either in it right now or about to experience the loss of a loved one?
Well, first thing I'd tell them, here's my phone number, you know, and here's my cell phone number. You can get me one way or the other. May take a bit because I don't carry them with me.
Yeah.
But when I get time, I'll certainly call. If you have any questions, any problems, anything I can help you with, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah.
And I think we need to lend our experience. I mean, I hate to even call it an experience because it's not what I want to think of as an experience.
Right.
But lend our experience to somebody else. There's a girl in our neighborhood. I say a girl. She's in her 60s. She lost her husband. She was a member of our church. Still, I guess, is on the ranks or on the books or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's got some alpha-gal, the tick disease. Yeah. And she called me out of the blue, wanting to know if I'd take her cat to the vet. Well, I'm highly allergic to cats, but I didn't dare tell her that.
Oh, I didn't know you were allergic to cats.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And that's the reason no cats are out. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, I said, yeah, I'll take Harley to the vet for you. I mean, so I did. I took Harley to the vet. And she was afraid Harley was going to get loose in the car, but he didn't. He was a good boy.
Good.
And I got him home, and then she called me one night when I was here at church and asked me if I'd go pick up some medicine for her. Developed the relationship. So
before any conversations, it's I'm helping and building a relationship with you.
That's how it starts, Daniel. You give me credit, and credit's not due because it is building a relationship. When you get the relationship with God right, the relationship with your family, with your husband, with your kids, they all fall into line.
Yeah.
That is the most important relationship to get right. And when you learn that relationship, then having a relationship with people is the way that you can work with people.
And I guess that kind of goes even back with what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks is when that relationship with God is right, even though it's incredibly hard and even though you're never fully ready for experiencing loss, you can go through it and still be okay because of who you know.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
You've got a friend. And as long as you know that friend is with you all the time, anywhere, any place, not just in the church building, then you've got all you need.
Yeah.
You can look within.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Well, we could sit here all day and have conversations, but they would not appreciate having, a 2-hour-long podcast. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for your love for people. Whether you know it or not, those of you listening to this or watching, if you've been a part of Timberlake for any length of time, John and Joy have blessed your life, whether you know it or not. And I love... And I want to do this more often. I love highlighting people's stories who don't really get to be shared a whole lot. John, I don't know if he would have ever sat here and told people about what he does or how he serves. He would have seen that almost as the worst thing in the world. But someone like him blessed so many people, and most people wouldn't know about it. And so I'm thank you for doing this and for reminding many people who've gone through maybe an experience close to yours of losing a loved one or a spouse, letting them know they're not alone. And the story that they've gone through and experienced can shape them, but also can bless so many people. And so thank you. Thank you for being willing to share.
Well, thank you for asking.
Yeah. And I think we should highlight your sweater. You wore your really nice puppy dog sweater here. This is beautiful.
My bones.
The bones on them. And if you're listening or watching and you're someone who ever thought about getting into raising dogs, we have a tier 1 level expert in our congregation who has many years of experience.
50 years.
50 years of experience. And so maybe you want to talk to her. Joy, thank you so much. That's it for this episode, and I hope...
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you were here. God bless you all. Thank you for watching this week on the Ripple Effect Podcast. We will see you guys next time right here. See you later.